Hey, what's up, peeps? My name is Straight Shootin LJA, and welcome to the Straight Shootin View. Now, you know what, yeah? It's 2021 has started off somewhat oddly. We're what, 8 days into it, 9 days into it now. And the Premier League still seem to not have a plan for what's going on. Now, I'm going to take you back a sec, back to September of 2020. Most of you guys may remember, I think we did post it on the PT socials, where there was supposed to be a meeting where the Premier League clubs were going to decide, or at least try and vote on how high or how low the percentage of the season played has to be before it gets past the point of no return. Whether it be 60% of the season has to be played or 70% of the season can be played. And then that would be the threshold of no return. Now, isn't it funny that Project Big Picture seemed to deflect from the whole of this? Because it was around about that time where that started percolating. And I have done a Straight Shootin View vlog on that. So check that out as well. But it is one of them ones where it's like, I find it funny that there's been nothing mentioned about that meeting. So us as fans, we're kind of all in the dark right now as to whether the season's going to get cancelled or not. And the reason why I mentioned that is because, number one, they are still planning to have the European Championships, the 2020 European Championships. The travelling roadshow that was supposed to be Euro 2020 is going to go on apparently in June of 2021. But we shall see, because COVID cases have been rising in England. And there's this new strain allegedly as well. So that makes things already very interesting. But you look at the Premier League, but coming back to the Premier League specifically, oh, look how good I look in the light. But it is one of them ones where the Premier League specifically, look at the matches that have had to be cancelled. We've just seen the FA Cup third round where games have had to be cancelled. Liverpool versus Aston Villa. Aston Villa v Liverpool, that way round, was very lucky to actually even take place. To be frank, it should have really been postponed. But therein comes the problem, where, as I said last season on my other vlog, the Straight Shootin Rants, about the Premier League returning, but is it money over health? So check that out, Liam_LJA_Angel, ANGELL, on Instagram. Check that out. And youtube.com/LJA Productions 07. I did vlog about that. And at the end of the day, these TV companies want their pound of flesh. So that to me was why I was so adamant, 100% sure, that last season the Premier League was not only not going to get cancelled and done points per game, because Aston Villa v Bournemouth would have ended up, there would have been legal challenges from both of those clubs, especially Aston Villa, who based on points per game would have actually gotten relegated playing a game less than everybody else. There was that issue. But as well, it's a case of, you look at the Premier League, they don't seem to have a plan B. Because Newcastle Aston Villa was postponed. You've had recently Everton Man City, which was postponed. Both of those due to a bunch of COVID-19 coronavirus cases. And there's no word as to when those are going to get replayed. The Premier League, I don't think, have announced that yet. Because obviously, like everybody else, they ain't got a clue what's happening. And the government ain't helping either, because they ain't got a clue. Well, they purport to not have a clue, but that's a different issue. The political stuff I do on the Straight Shootin Rants, my other vlog, and I won't bore you with it here. But the Premier League don't seem to have any sort of contingency plan or plan B. Because playing games behind closed doors, well, clearly it's not entirely working. Because there are still cases coming up, and also you got players hosting parties and breaching. I think there was, Jack Grealish recently. There's been a couple. I think Kyle Walker was involved in something. There have been a number of breaches. to coronavirus protocols. So it's a case of a lot of players off sides are flouting their own team's rules, and because they're not even really getting punished for it, and you can see that, it's one of them ones. It keeps happening, and it will keep happening. So it's one of them where these clubs, they were doing the whole like social bubble thing. They were doing that to bring it back for the last few months of last season, but it seems to have fallen by the wayside a bit. And Steve Bruce, to an extent, I kind of agree with him when he's recently come out and said that it's immoral that the Premier League gets to continue, but everybody else, that you got a lot of businesses, you got grassroots football and all that having to stop. And to an extent I agree with that. But at the same time, you do need something. And I understand that a lot of people want football to continue, and it's like, no, you know what, it's all I have. Especially people who have either been laid off, furloughed, aka waiting to get laid off. But again, the political stuff is not for here. But it's one of them ones where it's like, yeah, some people, all they've got is the football. But the fact of the matter is, if cases are rising, cases are going up, and there are so many thousands of cases per week, per day in some cases, popping up, and hundreds of deaths per day, per week, it's got to be looked at. You've got to scrutinise football that bit more. Because I think it's one of them ones where for football to completely stop or a season to get completely just annulled, something serious is going to have to happen. It's going to have to be one of them ones where, like, a whole team, similar to what happened to Aston Villa in the FA Cup third round, where a whole team goes down, and even so, it might even have to be more than just the whole team going down, because Aston Villa were forced to basically play their under-23s. So even if your whole first team goes down with COVID, it's not a guarantee that your match is going to be postponed. That's not even a guarantee. So it's one of them, and it was actually stated. The FA came out and stated that, as long as you've got 14 fit players, you can fulfill the ties. And that is not, to me, that's not fair. Especially to smaller sides, like your League One, League Two. No, it's not fair. Because they'll already be struggling as it is. So it's one of them where it's like, nah, if you can't guarantee a level playing field, really and truly you should pause it until you can. And I know that's wishful thinking. But the fact of the matter is, it has to be health over money. But entities like Sky Sports, BT Sport, Amazon are the problem here. Gary Neville can do one. Des Kelly can do one. I will repeat that. Gary Neville can do one. Des Kelly can do one. And those who sympathise with the TV networks, but they'll lose money if these games don't go. No. Shut up. It's about health and player safety, as well as the welfare of the businesses around the game as well. Because that's a cost. That's something that has been basically crippled. I mean, all of those program sellers, the hot dogs vendors, really outside of grounds, they've got no income at all, because guess what? There's no fans. And even when they brought back fans, they only brought them back for a month or so, and then the cases started spiking again. And then you got shops. You got shops opening, closing because of all these government imposed restrictions. So there's that cost. So if BT, Sky Sports, Amazon want to talk about money, do one. You've got cash reserves. Do what you will with them. You should have saved your money better. You got more than enough of it. You got money to pay billions for the TV deals, but you're whinging, we can't do this if you gone under the contract. We want our money. It's like, nah. That doesn't wash with me. So for me, it's one of them ones where the Premier League looks like it ain't got a plan B because it doesn't want to tick off these companies. And these companies are all in bed with each other. The Premier League are not going to come out and say, oh, well, we're thinking about postponing the league because it will tick off BT, Amazon and Sky. And Sky, BT and Amazon are not going to come out and say, well, morally, we think we should do it because that's one of them ones they don't want to hurt where their money's coming from. So this is one of them ones, they're not going to take away their own revenue stream. So in terms of a solution, you have to make it safe. You have to make it safe. And certain clubs like, say, Arsenal, for instance, taking out a £120 million loan after all the layoffs they've made, they've gone from a bastion of what a great, very well-run club was. They've gone from that to a club that's like, oh my God, in complete disarray, and the top level don't have a clue what they're doing. And this pandemic has really exposed, in my view, the finances. Just talking about Premier League level, it's really exposed the awful state of finances of a lot of clubs. And The Athletic actually a few months ago did a table where you had Chelsea and Everton with the worst finances in the league. But then what is one of them was Chelsea didn't lay anyone off, but then you look at Arsenal, they've had to lay a shed load of people off. Tottenham have had to take out loans as well, but you could kind of understand that because they've just opened a £1 billion stadium that they've got to pay off, and with the NFL not being over here, which was a revenue stream they were relying on, they're struggling to pay that off, and they always were anyway, because half of their stadium was funded by loans. So this pandemic has really exposed a hell of a lot of stuff, and hopefully to some people it's exposed stuff that's long been there. The Premier League basically being foundations built on sand for most sides, where they're spending way outside their means. Like FFP in the league, they've never been able to agree on, and it's one of them where it's like the lesser clubs are suffering. But then you've got so much infighting with the league. Look at the whole 5 subs thing. They couldn't even agree on that. It's like, now we're deadlocked. We don't want to give the big clubs an advantage. And it's like you're so narrow-minded that you think that only the bigger sides are going to get an advantage from having 5 subs instead of 3. Okay, cool. Cutting off your nose to spite your face, in my view. So the Premier League is lacking a plan B, the clubs are lacking a plan B, and the TV companies are laughing all the way to the bank. They really are laughing all the way to the bank, because as long as the football continues, they're good. They're getting what they paid for. So it is one of them ones where this is going to be a tough road to hoe, and this ain't changing no time soon. But guys like Richard Masters, the chief executive of the Premier League, you better get an idea. You better get a plan, and you better get one quick. Because as said, this needs to be about health and not money. And the Premier League needs to be dictating to the TV companies, not vice versa. But it's one of them ones where it's like, in regards to that, it's a case of the Premier League needs to grow some balls. The Premier League really does, in my view, need to grow some balls and be like, you know what, yeah, BT, Sky Sports, Amazon, right, we are going to work something out. Because this can't go on where teams are having to field their under-23s, and the FA need to come together. At long last, the FA need to come together with the Premier League, and what better time to do it? The FA need to come together with the Premier League and be like, you know what, yeah, we need to tell these TV companies, not ask, not request, but tell them, right, we're going to get a deal done that is going to see these clubs survive, and not just in the Premier League either. You got to rope the EFL into this as well, where it's like, and the Vanarama National League sides. You got to get them in on it as well. Where it's like, you know what, let's work out a deal where everybody not only can survive, but thrive as well. As said, the FA and the Premier League need to grow some balls, turn around to these to like BT, Sky Sports and Amazon and say, right, we're going to work this out. Let's hammer this out now, because this can't go on. This can't go on like this, and it can't go on for much longer. Because we can't be predicating money over health anymore. You can't do it. You can't be forcing clubs to play their under 23s in cup competitions because so many of their regular top players have gone down with coronavirus, COVID-19. No. You can't be forcing that no more. That's my take on it. The Premier League, I said, the Premier League and the FA need to grow some balls and go at these companies and be like, you know what? Let's work out a deal. It's like, let's defer this and let's just like let's sort something out. Whether it be making everywhere COVID compliant or just postponing until you can make everywhere COVID compliant, so you're not putting players' health at risk every time they step out onto a pitch. Not having half-baked initiatives like, oh, well, when you're celebrating, don't touch each other. Oh, don't do this. Be responsible while celebrating. No. How about you as the powers that be responsible? Be responsible for what you're doing and be responsible for the health of those you say you're trying to protect. Anyway, I have been Straight Shootin LJA, and I just wanted to kind of vent that a little. I want to know your comments. Comment section is down below. Down where? Down there. Down below. Let me know your views. I am Straight Shootin LJA. Remember, at Pitch Talk on Twitter. Tweet with us, follow us, see what we're up to. We're on Facebook as well. Facebook.com/Pitch Talk. We've also got a group there as well as the fan page. Also, YouTube.com/Pitch Talk. At Pitch Talk on Instagram as well. So, let us know your views as well. We're on Apple Podcasts, Podbean, Podomatic, and everywhere you get your podcasts. I have been Straight Shootin LJA, and until next time on the Straight Shootin View, shout outs to the G-Man, Jezzy Fizzle, JBK, and Nathan Arsenal as well, the PT family. I will see you next time on the Straight Shootin View. Join the Pitch Talk revolution on social media, dropping vlogs, blogs, videos, and podcasts on the beautiful game.